China phones with Tri-Bezel-Less design are available in the price range of less than 150 euros for a while now. But often important sensors, a status LED or even a telephone receiver are missing. The UmiDigi Crystal claims to not make these mistakes at a price tag of about 130 euros. But is it good enough to be a daily driver? In this test you will learn everything you need to know about the UmiDigi Crystal. The UmiDigi Crystal was provided to us by eFox shop for this test. A link to the shop and a voucher code can be found in the video description. The UmiDigi Crystal comes in the very same packaging as the UmiDigi C-Note. The scope of delivery includes everything you need for the start, and a bumper is included too. The UmiDigi Crystal has become a really beautiful phone. The bezels around the display are relatively slim, and this also applies to the upper bezel. Where other Tri-Bezel-Less smartphones usually carry the home button, the UmiDigi Crystal has a white status LED in form of a thin line. The front camera is located in the lower right corner. It is interesting to note that the light and proximity sensors are located in the upper frame. Despite the unusual position, they work perfectly. Contrary to many competing products, the UmiDigi Crystal even offers a headphone jack. The metal frame that wraps around the smartphone is well finished and makes the phone quite sturdy. One point of criticism, however, is that the varnish is quite sensitive. After inserting it into a bicycle mount just once, the frame already has visible scratch marks. The back is made from glass like the front. According to the manufacturer, Gorilla Glass 4 is used on both sides. In fact, we have not been able to find any deep scratches yet, but only hardly visible micro scratches after a week of use. However, the lack of a grease-repellent coating is disappointing. The UmiDigi Crystal is a real dirt magnet and looks totally dirty within a very short time. The UmiDigi Crystal is easy to handle thanks to its compact dimensions. The small thickness of 8.1 mm contributes to this. The weight of 180 grams is a little bit high for the size, but also contributes to a high quality hand feeling. The 5.5-inch Full HD display was developed by Sharp and convinces without any further configuration. The panel is relatively bright and can be used outdoors. Color reproduction and contrast are satisfactory, the sharpness is also convincing, and the viewing angles are good. MediaTek mirror vision settings are not available. Instead, there is an in-house developed options page with more rudimentary settings. The 5-point touchscreen is convincing with a good response time and accuracy for the price range. But the surface is disappointing since it feels relatively rough. In addition, the front, like the back of the unit, is a dirt magnet. The UmiDigi Crystal is equipped with a MT675OT processor with 8 cores clocked at 1.5 GHz along 4 GB of RAM and 64 GB of memory. Quite awesome considering the price tag of this device. Basically, the performance would also be convincing, as you can see here when playing Dead Trigger 2. But during normal daily use this is not the case, but more on that later. The speed of the internal memory is really good for the price tag. The RAM is not quite as fast, but still in an acceptable range. If you do not use dual SIM, the memory can be extended using a microSD card. The speeds achieved by the slot are fine. The UmiDigi Crystal shows weaknesses in the sensor side of things. Although everything important is on board, both the compass and the gyroscope do not function correctly and are useless. Calibrating the sensors didn't help, unfortunately. The fingerprint scanner on the back is not the fastest, but it does unlock the smartphone reliably. The only problem is that the sensor is nearly even with the phone's back, and this makes it difficult to feel the sensor and can lead to failed unlocking attempts if the finger has not been aligned correctly. On the software side, the UmiDigi Crystal is unfortunately still quite a construction site. Let's start with the positive stuff. The phone runs Android 7.0 without any optical modifications. Unfortunately, an outdated security patch from July 2017 is still being used. The system supports all major languages and the Google Play Store is pre-installed. However, the optimization of the system leaves much to be desired. Most apps and the system interface show a heavy stutter most of the time. And we are not talking about a slight stutter there, but about heavy lags and even hangs, which make everyday use an unreasonable burden. UmiDigi definitely have to work hard on this. What's also annoying is the standard RAM management, which annoys you constantly with notifications about running apps in the background. Fortunately, this feature can be deactivated so that it doesn't disturb much anymore. Next up, reception quality. Unfortunately, the Crystal performs rather weak in mobile networks. In poorly developed areas, there were repeated signal interruptions, and here at the office, we have difficulties to receive every G signal indoors. Band 20 LTE is supported. Dual-band Wi-Fi is supported with ABGN standards, which can reach up to 100 Mbit per second of downstream. The reception quality is mediocre. There are no interruptions, but a floor underneath the router sometimes short and noticeable drops in bandwidth occur. Bluetooth is supported by the 4.1 standard and has worked fine in the test. The GPS unfortunately is useless. Only a few satellites are found and the signal strength is not convincing. When tracking and navigating, the smartphone constantly jumps in position, making it unusable for these tasks. The media speaker sounds alright for the price range, but you can't expect miracles. The output on the headphone jack is clear and interference-free, the maximum volume level is in the upper midfield. The tiny phone receiver sounds surprisingly good. The speech quality is convincing in both directions, but there is no noise cancelling. The dual main camera with 13 and 5 megapixels as well as a f2.0 aperture can be best described as a snapshot camera. If you are looking for a camera smartphone, this is the wrong place. The camera lacks the necessary detail and dynamics. With a corresponding optimization of the software, it would be possible to get a lot more out of this, but based on previous experiences with UmiDigi, one should not have any hopes there. However, if you only need a camera for quick snapshots without any big demands on quality, you should be satisfied with the results. The camera is completely useless for videos. These can be recorded with Full HD but show a certain stutter and the quality leaves much to be desired. The audio is also much too quiet and contains a lot of interferences. The bokeh mode is limited to the typical circular blurred effect that we already know from the other cheap China phones with dual camera. The second sensor is not really used there. The front camera is significantly better than on most other Tri-Bezel-Less China phones for less than 200 euros. In daylight, usable selfies with a mediocre amount of sharpness and detail are the result. The camera, however, will fail in low light. The battery life needs to be greatly improved. Despite the 3000 mAh battery, and this specification is correct, the UmiDigi Crystal only achieves about 3 to 4 hours of screen-on time, and this is by far not enough for one day of use. The reason for this is probably the poorly optimized software. Charging from 20 to 100% takes less than 1.5 hours. Conclusion: the UmiDigi Crystal could be a really solid offering, since for about 130 euros you get a smartphone in a premium robe along decent specs. If there were not the problems with the software, the smartphone could indeed be recommended. We therefore recommend to wait and see if UmiDigi can solve the problems with the next updates. We will keep an eye on the situation and notify you guys if there are any changes. That's all for this video. A shop link as well as a coupon code and more information is located down in the video description. I was Christopher for CMM. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.